Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us here at Queens Town Hall for the Town Hall meeting. If you'll join me for the pledge, we can convene. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Oh, let the record reflect that Councilperson Schmidt is absent tonight. I have two announcements. April 7th Town Board workshop is canceled, and the April 9th Town Board meeting has been rescheduled to April 14th at regular time. Town Board members were able to get the minutes in review from March 10th, 2026, our workshop and audit meeting, and also our regular meeting of the 12th of March.
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to accept those into the record.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And right on to reports. Supervisor's report for February 2026. The fund, General A Fund balance forward is $231,864.27. Receipts of $1,899,720.03. Disbursements of $2,024,551.70. A balance of $107,032.60. Night class earned interest for A Fund this month is $14,447.95. Consolidated Fund balance forward $666.70. Receipts of $276.51. No disbursements. Balance of $943.21. Hart Town Fund balance forward is $22,137.60. Receipts of $51,297.70. Disbursements of $32,137.99. A balance of $41,297.31. Earned interest $3,888.75. Highway Part Town $71,659.41. Receipts of $100,258.65. Disbursements of $82,395.37. Balance of $89,522.69. Earned interest $1,191.75. Highway Town-wide balance forward $8,204.72. The receipts of $10,000.14. The disbursements of $16,220.06. Balance of $1,984.80. Earned interest $32.02. Sewer balance forward $39,535.89. Receipts of $160,214.24. Disbursements of $196,915.14. Balance of $2,834.99. Earned interest $859.85. Trust and agency balance forward $31,580.35. Receipts of $244,203.16. Disbursements of $238,988.68. Balance of $36,794.83. Capital projects balance forward $69,433.34, 53 cents in receipts. Disbursements of $45,420.52. Balance of $24,013.35. Earned interest $89.34. Section 8 HUD balance forward $16,999.70. Receipts of $7,888.68. Disbursements of $86,008.58. Balance of $8,879.80. Total reconciled balances $313,303.58 with a total earned interest this month of $20,509.66. Savings account of Grove Cemetery, $928.73, earned interest $86.98. Queens Hollow Cemetery, $546.80, earned interest of $8.68. Alcove Cemetery, $320.98, earned interest $40.61. Total savings account $1,796.50. Total earned interest $136.27. Collateral coverage for Bank of Greene County and National Bank of Coxsackie FDIC coverage at $250,000. I have nothing in the collateralized line. Night class. Withdrawals from SS 30,000, DA 10,000, DB 100,000, and B 50,000. A total withdrawal of $190,000 this month. Make a motion to accept the supervisor's report into the record.
I'll second that.
Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Into the record, and that brings us to town clerk. Candace.
Town clerk's report for February of 2026. In the A fund, we handed over to the supervisor a total of $406.07. In the B fund was a total of $2,786. For property tax, at this point, we have a total of, her lines are all crazy here. Well, you guys get the interest and the penalties. So we have $78,101.06. Unpaid sewers. This is broken up a little weird. My apologies. I'm having a hard time. So property tax fund total, my apologies, is $1,198,853.97. For some reason, the sewer line popped up a little bit, and that was throwing me off. Now, in your sewer rents, we've collected $94,248.85. You'll see that the village made a payment for May, so they are fully up to date for 2025. However, we haven't received any payments from them for 2026, and they would like to know when you are going to be answering Mr. Biscone's letter.
And we just got an email from, I think they emailed you and we saw your response.
Correct. So your total sewer funds at the moment is $94,248.85. Local shares remitted is $1,296,294.89. Albany County Director of Finance has received a total of $1,426,368.87. New York State Ag and Markets received $34. Department of Health is $45. DEC received $394.70 for a total non-local revenue of $1,426,842.57 for a total state, county, and local revenue of $2,723,137.46.
Make a motion to accept the clerk's report.
I'll second it.
Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Accepted. Police chief's not here tonight. He asked that we go to read his report.
He did, yep. So the chief gave his report. There were 639 calls for service. There were 354 traffic stops. What is the CBA? He has 13 on there.
Sure.
So we'll have to ask him that, but there's 354 traffic stops. They issued 90 tickets. They made 3 DWIs. There were 1 personal accident, and there were 7 property damages.
Is that arrests?
I don't know. CBA. I don't know. I was able to decipher all of the other acronyms, just not that one. 13 CBAs. So maybe it is some kind of arrest.
I think that might be resulting in arrest.
Yeah. So that is his report.
I'll make a motion to accept the police report for February of 2026.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Good evening, Mr. Chmielewski.
Good evening, Town Board. Building Department report for the month of February of 2026. Permits issued were 5. Certificates of occupancy or compliance were also 5. Fire inspections on multi-dwellings were 2. Fire inspections on commercial buildings were 3. We had 4 fire inspections on vacant buildings. Building inspections for the month were 31. We had 3 permit renewals. Building fees were $2,250. We have 1 special use permit. Planning fees are $100. We have 1 area variance. Zoning fees are $100. We had 1 property search, and miscellaneous fees are $100.
Make a motion to accept the building department report.
I'll second that.
Second. None, all in favor?
Aye.
Thanks, Jason.
Good evening, board. We're going to be reading, that's the board meeting. That's not mine. Reading the February 2026 monthly report for the sewer department. We had 14 million come through the plant, average flow of 500,000. We removed 54 tons of solids at 19%. Our percent removal was 90, 91, and 89. We had like a half an inch of rain. And we spent $30,649.91 at the plant. And just to let you guys know what's been going on, we had all that snow, and then we had the warm weather and the rain and stuff. It all melted. We had high flows at the plant, a little over 3 million on the outfall, and then we had 2 million or 3 on the inflow, 2.5 million on the outfall. That for a couple of days. I wasn't there because I was gone for 2 weeks, unfortunately. But the guys did really well. Then we had another rain event, which then we got up to 2 million. But in this process, in this time, over the last 5 months or so, we've had settability problems, just so that let you know, and that. So we were tackling that and everything. So, and then we've been getting foam, like a white substance with foam that's been coming through on a regular basis, and it smells like detergent or soap detergent. We don't know if it's killing the bugs. We think it is, because over time, earlier in the year, like back in November, I think I might have touched, or December, they were doing, we saw a lot of, it would look like white, it looked like paint, and then we smelled paint thinner like the next day for about 4 days at the plant. These things kind of don't help us out when we're growing bacteria that kills it. So whether or not someone was painting, I don't know where, but that's what happened. That's what I feel that happened that day, you know. But recently, like I said, for the last couple months, every day, throughout the day, we get white substances. I could show you pictures on my phone and stuff. So we started doing some dye testing, just to let you know what we've been doing since I got back. Dropping it in at different points in the collection system to see how long it takes to get to the plant. Because by the time we see it at the plant, if we catch it right in the beginning, it's already took a half hour just to come from the police barracks at the old town firehouse down in the Queens. It takes a half hour from there. It takes 50 minutes from Riverview Pump Station. It takes 40 minutes to come from Civil Ave by the Civic Center, because that's where the flow comes out of the village. So this is affecting what's going on at the plant, I have a feeling, and that. So we're going to have to do something about addressing, trying to get out and see where this is coming from, collect, could be the car wash, the laundromat, but it's so much and it happens so often that, I can show you if you want after the meeting or something, show you pictures of the foam and everything, what it's doing to the plant. But also, just on the other hand, I come back from vacation. I was talking to the guys on Monday, and they were like, the panel board that controls the pumps and everything, we've been frozen for like that. Those numbers on there for a little over 2 weeks now. And then the other day, we were talking to a guy trying to get a transducer in, and we were tracing it. And then the next thing, you know, the whole thing dies. So, you know, we got it up and running. We got it running. We had to make some phone calls with Jonathan there, the new guy. He's pretty good with controls and everything. So he ended up figuring something out, and we got it running. So we're actually running because we were running our backup system earlier in the week. So this is what I'm saying, you know, as far as that grant money, we need that. The things are starting to fall apart slowly and easily. So I just want to let you know that these are things are happening. So there's going to be some, you know, like I had to order the transducer and this, they call it a black box. It's for the flow because right now that transducer shoots the water. It shows elevations. So it's supposed to shut the pump off and turn it on and off, but it doesn't do that anymore. It stays at one level. The pump runs, it's airbound. So we keep running up and down the ladder into the dry pit there, which is a confined space and all that bit, but whatever. But we got it fixed so that we didn't have to go down there. But I just want to let you know that things are starting to deteriorate. Things are starting to have problems. So just want to put that out there. And that's all I have to say. You know.
How do you, I mean, for the foam issue, how do you figure out where it's coming from?
We're going to have to go out and just go around and just grab samples places, or just when we see it, like I said to Jonathan, I said, just run out and just start picking manholes. Like, you know, definitely pick the one at the firehouse, see which way, if we can see which way that stuff is coming from. Like I said, it's white. I mean, if I had time, I'd show it to you right now. It's on my phone. I get pictures, but it just looks white. And then when it comes into the plant, it just foams up. And then like our area, our digester, the last 2 weeks it's just got white foam on it, you know. And so we can't have that and coming in, you know. So like I said, you can smell like a detergent, like a cleaning product, but someone's got to be dumping a lot of it and using a lot of it, you know. So we just got to find out where it's coming from. So we're going to have to go to the businesses and stuff like that and just pull manhole covers and try to track where it's coming from. But like we went to the car wash, Jonathan ran up the car wash last week when I wasn't there. He said there was only one car coming out of the car wash. But we talked to Ravena and I talked to him. Well, he talked to the guys and he said that the car wash has been using more water since they put the new thing's been having a lot more people use it. But that has never been really a problem in the past, you know. I mean, I've been there 18 years. I've never seen anything like this. So it's all something in the last couple of years because we've had problems with red dye, and they're coming into it looks like someone committed murder. You only see it at the head of the plant, and once it goes 25 feet, you don't even notice it anymore. But it comes in and out, and it was as red, and it's there for 45 minutes, and then it goes away. You know, we tried to track it down. I've asked people, went around, knocked on doors, and talked to people. You know, no one's going to tell you yes or no, you know. So it's just trying to track somebody down. No one wants to be honest and just tell you what they're doing because I don't care. I just need to know what it is because it's killing the bugs, you know. So that's what we are bug farmers. We grow bacteria and stuff like that. So we need to can't have any chemicals in it, you know. So.
And it's happening daily?
The white stuff, the foam, yes, daily, throughout the day. I was there at 8:30 at night. It's happening now, you know.
Have they changed their soap?
I don't know. It's just, you know, just because we're right here, let me just pull it up.
Well, I think it's important, and I'm wondering, is there a way to turn off certain lines for a period of time to see if you can find out where it's coming from? Like if the town was notified or, you know, to try to isolate it.
From my discussions with Keith for the past 2 weeks about this,
See, this is the influent channel going in. This is our digester. That shouldn't be white like that. And that's white in there. So
Yeah.
then that's the bar.
Setting. Yeah.
That's just the foam
you
coming
showed
up,
me already.
you know.
Oh, yeah.
So that's what we're seeing every day. You know, it's just white foam in the tray, you know. And that's what we see every day sometimes, or it's just white. We don't know what it is or where it's coming from, but, you know, with the settleable problems and getting a lot of filaments, which then makes the thing pop, and then we fail our parameters by the state. and stuff like that. So this is just something that, you know, it's all of us, you know, because we get fined for it, the state comes down. Any violation that we get is $37,500 a day if they want to enforce it. So it's just stuff like that, you know, it's just, they don't enforce a lot of stuff because they figure, you know, you're gonna get under control or whatever, stuff like that. But just so we also know, DEC is coming down on Monday. Just do a plan inspection, and because of the problems it had, because I talk to her all the time, you know, she wants to come down and discuss what our plan of action is and what we're doing about it. So just wanted to give you that heads up.
Has the Civic Center been doing any construction?
So with my discussions with you in the past 2 weeks, you have identified, you're saying that it's thousands of gallons of
Well,
detergent.
I mean, whatever they're dumping, we, you know, like I said, even now, we're at 800,000 gallons a day. You know, when you drop something in, you know, you think of dilution as a solution, but it always isn't. But there is so much coming through. You saw the pictures. That's just not a little bit, you know, and that happens a couple times a day maybe, or maybe it's every other day, but it happens very often, you know. And like I said, for the last, since September, November, we've had settability problems and everything. And, you know, usually you have a sludge blanket about a foot thick. You have suspended solids up 8, 10 feet. We get a rain that pushes out, it goes out the effluent. We get dinged, it's a violation because we're only allowed 0.03. And like, we had 50 last month. I think I think it took a month or so, we had a 50 on the effluent because of the solids blowing out. That's 800 times the amount that we're allowed to, you know, so that was a violation that we had to report. So this is just, you know, and it's been ongoing. I've been there 18 years and never seen anything like this. So it's something within the last couple of years and everything, and that's what we just got to address.
So sounds highly unlikely that it's a car wash or a laundromat.
I don't know, unless they change something, that's the only thing I know. If they got more stuff in there or what, but it's just, you know, I don't know. I mean, the one day I rode around when I saw the paint and the paint thinner, I went up and I drove around and like they're building 2 houses out here on Ridge. On that development, that little thing, they put 2 or 3 houses in there. I happened to ride through the Fonda del Sol, Oak Brook, or whatever you want to call it. They had put a new building in there. I didn't know that, but I rode by and I saw a guy with a paintbrush outside. So I don't know if they went in and painted the whole place and decided to dump the paint and then just bumped all the paint thinner. It could have been at that, you know, it was at the same time, it was only a couple days later that I saw that, you know, but these are things that, you know, people should know that they can't dump that stuff out in the sewer.
And I only think if the,
Well, we have sampled it and tested it, but it comes back, like we tested the red stuff, came back, the lab said they really couldn't, nothing really toxic, but it was red. They didn't know, they always say it was salt related, that's what they always said. So even the white stuff, they said the same thing. They don't really know, they can't break it down to what, you know, what it actually is.
I just wonder if, when the car wash did their renovation, which was a couple of years, did they switch to a new soap and it's creating this reaction? Or are there new businesses within the community that may be contributing to something?
Someone's wash, it, you know, we don't know, like I said, it just smells like a tree. Even if you pick it up, like we'll get a glass jar and pick it up and we smell it, we'll let it sit there, you know, and let it, you know, to see what it is, but it smells detergent-y, you know, so someone cleaning something or something, that's stuff that we're having right now, you know, but over the past, we had red, we've had, you know, white, like paint, we had white a couple of years ago. I mean, we've documented in our books. I mean, I go back to 21 since we've been doing this with the dyes and stuff like that. But like I'm just saying, but the last 6 months has been really bad. I've never seen anything like this in the 18 years I've been there. So it's recent, someone's doing something, and we just need to find out what it is.
Great.
Okay, yeah, and we're going to be scheduling meetings. We're going to do testing and see where it's coming down.
We just need to, you know, be able to go out and pull manhole covers, you know, and grab samples, you know, and that, like I said. But like I said, once we see it at the plant, we don't have very much time. By the time we get to anything, you know, it could be gone.
Well, on the heels of that, we did get the CPF, the community project funding, and the congressionally directed spending. We got those applications out that we passed on the 12th, and I believe I sent those to you to review the applications. They're short form, so they weren't that expensive, but we, in my conversations with Scott Siegel, he'd said that asking for $5 million for a project like this wouldn't be inappropriate. So fingers crossed that our projects are accepted
Just
by
like I said,
representatives.
we're just 56 years starting to show its age. And like I said, and then we're just like that, just a flow, something that levels water controls so much, and everything, causes a headache, just makes our little job a little harder. Like after tonight, I'll run down there and check it after the meeting tonight, just to make sure that pump is still running, that the water level didn't drop too low and they got air bound. Our backup system does work, so it doesn't get on the ground or anything, but it floods the flow meter pit. It says 17 million gallons in there and stuff like that, so, because it's buried under the water and stuff like that, so it's just,
Yeah, we're moving as quickly as we can with this. We know that.
No, I'm just saying, but even like the on and off of the pump, it messes the system up. It needs to be constant flow all the time. You can't stop, start. The pump's got to pump all the time.
Did you tell me you were doing that manually for a few days?
Well, we turn it on, off, if we wait too long, we'd have to go down and lift the thing on there, bound it, and then come back up, and, it's just a hassle. You gotta go down 15 feet in the ground, down a ladder, do all that, come back out. It only takes a minute, but it's just every, 20 minutes you might do, if you don't catch it. You don't shut the pump off fast enough. But it's now, like I said, Jonathan got it working because he's good with controls. We got it set up. I just go back and check to make sure it's still running.
Okay. Well, thanks, Keith.
Thank you.
Make a motion to accept the report for February 2026.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Highway reports. Is there a highway? No one's looking at the highway to read this. Mike, you wanna?
Yeah, I'll read it.
Thanks.
So Mr. Ferrero sent this to be read. Number one, town halls number 1 and 2 have nothing to report. Just continue to plow and salt parking lots when needed and keep sidewalks clean. Number 2, the building on 70 Main Street, the former substation, he checked about every other day, has not had any issues with the heat. They keep both thermostats at 60 degrees. Number 3, our highway department had a very busy month with 12 call-outs for snow, ice, and with high winds, we had many snow drifts. He says we did get a few decent days to be able to get down to the hamlet and remove high snowbanks for better visibility after the big snowstorm of about 15 plus inches. At the time, we also cleaned big banks at Queeman's Firehouse so the views were not blocked. We also continued, when possible, to haul salt and screenings to try and stay ahead of the storms. We work hard to keep up with greasing all the equipment and PSI washing, pressure washing, everything down at the end of the snow event. Repairs that were done in month of February: truck C5 replaced hydraulic lines and repaired broken ram on plow. Also replaced plow cutting edge. Repaired wing brace arm on C14. Truck C11 had replaced catalyst converter and exhaust flex pipe in-house with a parts price of $2,335. Replaced rear glass window in our John Deere backhoe. Replaced passenger side mirror on C22. Replaced cutting edges on plows for C4 and B2. He says we are keeping up with mailbox repairs. Know that ground is not frozen. Now that ground is not frozen, we're able to replace posts that were broken off in the ground. On a sad note, we are all aware that he had received a verbal resignation from Connor Liscum. His last day will be April 10th. We want to say thank you. We want to say that Connor brought a lot of energy to the highway department. He was a good worker and will definitely be missed. We all at the highway want to wish him well in his next chapter and have no doubt he will be successful. I would also like to thank the highway crew for helping out where needed in the last month, as Mr. Ferrero has been temporarily taken on a second role. and since the resignation of Superintendent Dan Baker on February 27th. So I'd like to thank Mike as well for stepping up and sort of running things for the department as Dan is no longer with us. So thank you, Mike, and the highway crew. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Yeah, I had a conversation with Mike this morning. There's been some rash incidents of vandalism. He says it's getting worse and worse. They were down fixing picnic tables and various other things down at the riverfront park. And I reiterated to him that we are working as fast and as hard as we can to address the lack of things for teenagers to do. Boys and Girls Club we're still working on, because we think that he agrees that it's very important for our youth to have an outlet. Once again, the bathrooms at Geralman Park, it was a large expression of rage, so that needs to be worked on. And I actually had a conversation with the chief about the two young people that did that vandalism, and I want to move forward and maybe have conversations. I'm not quite sure how it works with probation officers, but Chief said that he would have them reach out, and if there's a possibility that the town can somehow get involved with youths that are having issues, we should do that. Also, Mike told me that he had repaired a fence in the hamlet too, that was damaged by snow. So I saw that he left those off his report, but I just wanted to bring everyone up to speed on all the good work he's been doing that he's not mentioning. Make a motion to accept the report into the record.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anything from the liaisons to report?
Nothing new.
Yeah, we covered it pretty well. Okay, that brings us right to old business. Transportation terminals, local contractor yard definitions. We received from our legal department. Is this a red line version, local contractor yard?
I think.
I'm not sure if I
could
could
send both. I think the one that you're holding up is a red line, I think.
I believe so.
But the information is as similar as the clean version.
Yes.
Yeah.
We just wanted to highlight the changes
Yeah.
we did since last time.
And excellent work, by the way. I'm going to read it out loud. The local contractor yard definition: a lot or portion of a lot used to store and maintain equipment and other materials and facilities customarily required in the contractor's trade, but excluding the storage of materials or equipment for off-site sale. The owner of such business activity shall either reside on the same parcel as the local contractor yard. A local contractor yard shall also be permitted as an accessory use on a separate parcel that one has common beneficial ownership with the parcel on which the local contractor yard is located, and two is directly contiguous with the parcel on which the local contractor yard is located or contiguous through other lands under common beneficial ownership or ownership by an immediate family member. The local contractor yard shall be considered an accessory use to the property on which the local contractor resides. Exterior evidence of a local contractor yard may include one or more of the following: a sign, exterior dumpsters or waste receptacles, stored vehicles or equipment directly related to the business activity conducted on site. The minimum lot size for a local contractor yard shall be 1.84 acres, 18,000 square feet. This accessory use shall be subject to site plan review. A local contractor yard is not intended and shall not be employed to cause an expansion of use lawfully existing in the Industrial 1, Industrial 2, or Industrial 3P zone. So, good work. And this is tied to the proposed local law number 1, which I do have the clean version of. Would anyone like to read it? Because I can. Do you think that's necessary?
I don't know that it's necessary at this stage. We're just putting it out there for comment from board members. We still haven't sent it to planning or scheduled a public hearing. We just wanted to circulate our latest draft based on the feedback that we had received last time.
Correct.
I think it's important too that items like that are put in our folder so that we have those copies also. I totally get, we got the email, I believe, yesterday.
I think
With
it's
the
today.
revised one.
Oh, yes.
Yesterday or today.
Your documents yesterday and today.
Right, so I just ask that if something like this is presented, especially in that short manner, that we are given copies of that. I don't have that, and I don't think you have it either right
No,
now.
no.
Correct. So I just ask that we get copies of that. If it's gonna be on the agenda, that we have that. I would definitely like to print it out myself and go through it and read it, digest it. So before we go with that.
Yeah, that, I just wanted to read it out loud for the residents. We did get it late. I didn't leave the office until I came here. But yeah.
That's fine.
And that would be a Fazio request, let him know that how you prefer to have, if
Well,
something
I'm just,
comes in late.
if there's something on the agenda, then if you can just ask him to make sure, I mean, I'm not gonna reach out to him every time. If we can make that like a common practice, if there's something on the agenda, can you ask him?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Also on there, is the, local contractor yard. Oh, no, the
That was the
rural event center.
That's what you read.
Right in the center, yeah.
Which I'd also like to read because you guys have been really doing great work. I just want to say that out loud, that our legal department.
Which is in local law.
Well, right, so local law one that the board considered in 2025 contained the definition of agricultural transportation terminal. Based on the discussions that we've had since then, we've added to a new proposed local law one for 2026, the local contractor yard. So, I mean, those other definitions are still in there, but they're now, it's combined into a single local law so that if the board does decide they want to proceed, you could act on them all at the same time.
So I still would like to read this rural event center because once again, good work.
And I would just say, in that case, it's not quite as far along. We haven't actually circulated it in the form of a proposed local law, but this would be the definition that we would use if we get to the point where the board wants to proceed.
It's a working definition.
Rural event center, a structure, combination of structures or parcel designed to support one or more of the following uses in a rural setting. 1, receptions, banquets, weddings. 2, community events. 3, school or youth events and or 4, religious events. Excuse me. A rural event center may also include activities conducted by a farmer for the enjoyment or education of the public, which promote the sale, marketing, production, harvesting, or use of the products of the farm, and which enhance the public's understanding and awareness of farming and farm life. This use may also provide food service accessories to the aforementioned uses and or activities. The minimum lot size for this shall be 10 acres, and the minimum setback for any of the aforementioned secondary uses shall be 500 feet, and I know that we haven't discussed this, so we're just for educational purposes. 500 feet from any neighboring unrelated residential structure. This use shall not be construed to allow for a permanent structure or structures primarily used for concerts and or as an amphitheater. This use shall be subject to a special use permit. Any discussion? Everybody's happy?
My biggest thing that jumps out with that, site plan review also.
Well, so if it's subject to special use permit approval, it would come in for site plan review? Correct. Special use permit would be a slightly elevated level of review and allow you to maybe put some additional constraints on it than you would for, say, just site plan review of a permitted use. And it's to give the town a little bit more flexibility when you're looking at a particular site to deal with impacts on neighbors or other types of
Right.
potential consequences.
Right.
In terms of the dimensional requirements, Michael and I just took a stab at that. We changed it from a setback from a road to really a setback from a neighboring residential structure, because I think that's really the harm that you're trying to avoid. If it's on the road, that's not necessarily going to affect somebody else's quality of life, but if it was, right in their backyard, even if it was off the road, then maybe it would be more problematic with cars coming in and out and that type of thing.
And I guess I think that's where I worry. When you have farms that do weddings and stuff, they're not a dime a dozen. When we open this up to rural, so now can any person that has more than 10 acres and wants to do this have weddings? So I just worry about that, because that is the beauty and the uniqueness of the rural land. So I think when it falls back to places like Indian Ladder and such, they're farms that are, Stanton's farm, whatever, they're very well-established farms. That's not a dime a dozen. So I guess that's where I get leery on allowing any homeowner to want to put up a Morton barn building or, a old barn and turn it in and have weddings regularly. Because now you're taking away from that whole residential.
And I think, frankly, that's one of the risks we're trying to balance, both for this rural event center concept as well as, say, for the owner-occupied contractor yard, right? You don't necessarily want them all over, particularly in the RA zone where your comp plan really talks about more of a rural agricultural emphasis. And so we're trying to achieve that balance, recognizing some of the requests that you've been faced with, some of the concerns that you have, while also not trying to avoid unintended consequences.
And I also wonder, and I'm curious on this, we have 3 items under old business before us. Transportation terminal, local contractor yard, the site plan one also isn't even in there, rural event center. This all goes back to our local laws and our zoning, and we're piecemealing and a la carting. And no offense, Mr. Riley, but we keep paying you extra every time we do this. Does it make sense to say, hey, can we budget to redo all of our laws and zoning, as opposed to continually throwing money towards our attorney when maybe we can budget and do all of it? The one thing that we've heard at some of our meetings and public hearings that we've had is we need to redo our laws and our zoning. So do we continually do these piecemeals, or do we say, hey, let's find out how much it's going to cost for us to work with an attorney, like get a price. Who knows, we may have already superseded that price by doing all of these a la carte. I don't know. That's just something to consider, because our local laws and our zoning is extremely outdated. We're all aware of that, and we have to redo it. So maybe that's something that we consider to possibly budget for next year. Just a thought.
Was the consideration for that the amount of time? I've heard numbers like 2 or 3 years to do that.
I don't know nowadays, because I think someone mentioned that they redid it in 6 to 8 months. I think the advantage that we have here in 2026 is everyone's local laws and they're all online. So we have, I can go to Town of New Baltimore. I can go and print everything out and do homework and research. And I'm not necessarily saying let's task this with our council. This is something that we as board members can start researching, pulling people's laws, pulling people's zoning, and we can start doing some homework on our own and then present it. And there's companies that do this also. So I'd be curious to what that bulk price would be instead of continually paying our council. Every single one of us signs their check, and every year we're going out of our budget with it, and every year we're paying more and more. So that's why I'm saying if this could be a project or a plan, it's just something to consider.
We should absolutely see what that would cost and if we could budget for it. comprehensive zoning study?
You could be looking at two different options. One would be to look at your comp plan itself and whether or not you want to update that. I'm not necessarily saying you do or you don't. If you did, you'd do that first. Otherwise, if you're comfortable with the current state of your comprehensive plan, then you could engage a consultant, and they're absolutely out there. Some are attorneys, some are not. And there are, many that are great that would help you with an overhaul of your zoning code as a whole. And I think you'd really be looking, you've got a code, right, that relates to things other than zoning. You probably need to look at that too, but maybe the priority would be the zoning piece itself.
And no disrespect to you.
No, not taken. No, I have plenty of other clients where we would bring in that consultant to do that type of project. Absolutely.
Right.
And the last piece is the truck traffic discussion. There was a lot of back and forth online that came into my office. On the 12th of March, I had seen, I went down to see the sign for the tenants at the port so I could start becoming familiar in a very general way. And there was a variable message sign that I noticed and just noted it and had our secretary call the cover companies to see who put it there. And I think the security director had said yes, and then Nick had called the office. I was out, and I got your message and your phone number. And then we had that started on, and then on Monday the 16th, I started getting calls from New Baltimore, and board member Deb had called me, so there was concern. We were getting calls from the hamlet that all of a sudden there was an increase in traffic. So that was last week. I had a lot of back and forth. Our office wrote a letter to Senators Hinchy and Fahey because I had reached out to, how did this go? I reached out to Anne Marie Salmon, who we met at the Fahey meeting. She is Albany County Planning. She was unaware. I asked also about the RFP at the time, and she didn't have, she said that they had contacted DOT and they put us on a 90-day queue, and that Senator Fahey would try to fast track that. In my discussions with our neighbors, our surrounding municipalities, we thought that we could also help with the fast tracking. So I fashioned a letter and had New Baltimore, Ravena, Queens, and Bethlehem sign it. We also CC'd regional director, the commissioner of DOT and the regional engineers and directors of DOT. I think it was Mike Arthur, and I can't remember the engineer's name, but also Chris Tague, and just as many people as we could to get into the conversation that we're looking at a regional issue and that we want to move continuously with. So that was a bulk of the work that we were doing after I spoke to Anne Marie. I also contacted the Transportation Council to get some information on both projects. I was basically trying to track down the RFP, and on Friday, I think it was, Lisa Raimondo, the Albany County DPW director, got back to me and said that yes, Bowler Engineering and Creighton Manning bids were accepted. So we're still, and then I called Zach Collins and I wrote a formal to see where it was at and if he had a scope of work, because we do have the Mountain Road Extension Lansing study that we want to pass. I doubt that they're going to have Mountain Road Extension on their traffic study, but we're still waiting for the scope of work so that we can understand exactly what it's going to be. Creighton Manning obviously is gonna concentrate on roads. They're the gold standard. And Bowler, from what I gather, is more economic development and sort of engineers how things work inside of an industrial park. So that's where we are with that. I called Zach, like I said. He's waiting for information from Advanced Albany County Alliance. That's Kevin O'Connor, you may remember. I sent him an email also. This is a strange aside, but all the Albany County, New York.govs come back to me undeliverable. I dug around with that a little bit, and Sandy, the executive director of the Transportation Council, said everybody's been going through this. It's sort of a false positive. They get the message, but I get or people get undeliverables. I'm not sure if that's true or not. I haven't checked to get evidence, but because I just spoke with her this afternoon around 4:00. But that is the update that I want to do, bring the residents to, because I'm still getting emails every single day, especially from the hamlet, and phone calls. And that leaves us, and that was all this week. And today is Thursday. Yep, and that brings us right up to speed. I don't know if anybody else has anything they want to add to that, but like I said, I just wanted to update the public on what our office is doing.
Yeah, I think we're just waiting for, really for Albany County or whoever or Zach to get back to us with what is that road study going to cover exactly. Because if it's going to cover Mount Road extension, I don't want to double dip. But if it's not, then obviously I want that road to have a study as well.
Yeah, and I was digging around looking for it at Bid Albany, and I got Sandy going on it too because she became curious also and couldn't find anything. I thought it's my understanding that it's public knowledge. She said she was going to reach out to Anne Marie again because she started to get curious. So that was late this afternoon. She said she'd give me a call if she's found anything. So that's where we're at with it.
Kind of seems as though Mountain Road is one of the major points where trucks are coming out of, so it would be wrong not to include it.
I agree.
Considering it's one of the main thoroughfares that is the problem.
They may be looking at slightly different issues though, right? One, I think, is a question of traffic flow and roads that can withstand that or more that can maybe best be directed for all communities, including this one. Mountain Road, I think, is also, to the extent you're considering a weight limit, it's really a review of, and Limekiln, what's the condition of that road? Can it withstand the weight of the traffic that it has experienced to date and may in the future? So, but I guess you won't know for certain until you see what the scope of work is from the county.
Yep, and that's where we are. Right.
And I think we could also request, if we're going to spend $10,000 on our own and they're going to do this, if they don't encompass it, is there a way to possibly do an agreement with them if they're already coming out to encompass what we'd like done also?
How do you mean?
Piggyback on their contract.
Right, piggyback on their contract, thank you. So instead of us paying one company $10,000, if we have to pay them, if they're already coming out to do the study, pay them $4,000 or $5,000 more to make sure we cover that road and exactly what we want. We want to make sure that the traffic flow, we want to make sure that they're seeing, is this road graded for these trucks? We could put that request in also.
Well, they sent out a scope of work weeks ago, and we all received.
No. That's for the company that we are looking at with the town, which is $10,000. My point is, we can piggyback off of the company that the county is using and ask them, if it doesn't encompass it, can we pay them more to make sure it encompasses it, not costing $10,000?
Oh, yeah, so you're sort of going into the territory that Deb was asking. We're having this conversation, and we're scheduling a meeting, and maybe you could give us legal advice if they can actually change requests for proposals, and we're not sure how the county is being funded. My conversations, once again, with the executive director of Transportation Council is that Albany County reached out to them for funding, and then they were turned down. So then Albany County apparently brought in Advanced Albany County Alliance, and I'm curious to see if it's funded through taxpayer monies or they're paying for it. We're not sure, so there's a lot of questions, but yeah, we're scheduling the meetings to find this information out. Once again, it's a multi-pronged issue that, a lot of moving parts. But I'm not sure how the funding and the money works, if you can just ask, can you throw, for instance, New Baltimore on this? Can you?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard for me to know or give advice on that if I haven't seen the RFP, I haven't seen the proposed contracts, whether there could be add-ons or there's any provisions for that.
So I guess we just gotta sit back and wait and see what's gonna come out of that.
We're actively pursuing that because I'm very, very curious about the scope of work. And that's old business, and that brings us to new business. A fun thing we can talk about, the Summer Farmers Market is starting up. We have our offices working on it for June to September. On Thursdays, Evening on the Green and Farmers Market, we're pulling that together right now. Vendors and bands and at Riverfront Park. So something good for the community to be able to go. We're also working on just SNAP benefits, and from what I understand, that if people have SNAP cards and they buy fresh vegetables for say $2, they'll have be able to get another $2 in fresh vegetable groceries, which is good for nutrition. It might be off topic, but it's possible that young people are enraged because their diets may be too poor with what do they call them? Highly processed food. So we're excited to have healthy foods go into our community. Is why we're doing the farmers market again, because it builds community and it builds healthy bodies. Healthy community, healthy bodies. So, and does anybody have any questions about the farmers market? Because you guys have been working real hard on it.
It's both parks, Droneman Park and the
Well,
river.
I just heard this afternoon that there's an issue. Do you want to jump in? Because
I'm not really in charge of it. This is more of a Stephen Fazio and Regina thing. It's not my.
I talked to Steven a couple days ago because I asked him about like how many concerts were we going to have and was it going to overlap, because we had mentioned that in email. And he said, I'm not sure why, but he said the concerts will be in both places, starting at Droneman for however many, and then going to Riverfront. But the farmers market will only be at the Riverfront Park, and I'm not exactly sure.
When did you get this information?
I thought I think I talked to him 2 days ago.
Okay, so I just got this information once again 4:00 because we had to go fix it.
Maybe it was yesterday.
Yeah, so at 4:00 before he left today, he told me that the bands aren't booking like they were, so it's possibly all going to be at Riverfront Park.
Okay.
Because the vendors prefer it and the bands prefer it, number one. In Droneman, I live right next to Droneman, so it gets really a lot of mosquitoes in the summertime. I think that maybe it's the best choice. And also we're sort of baby stepping into this, so I think it would be good. And once again, this is all not written in stone. This is happening, 2 hours ago. But that's a possibility that it will just be at Riverfront and not Droneman. So we'll see how that works out with how many bands sign up. And the vendors are coming in already.
Yeah, he did mention that the bands were he was trying to figure out who wanted to continue it. We did increase the price a little bit to try to entice them to keep coming back.
Please stop talking about that.
Yeah,
That's not happening.
Yeah, I think that was in your recommendation of the email.
Oh, it was?
Which
Yeah.
is fine. But I think we need to circle back on this conversation because this entire board, and I believe it was at the workshop, we agreed that we were going to do the concerts at both parks for the entire community. So if we're going to deviate or change from that, then this board needs to have a further discussion instead of going forward with an agreement.
Well,
This
this
is
all
the
just
first-
happened
Okay.
like 2 hours ago. So it's
Okay.
not written in stone.
Okay, but
Yeah,
I
just
definitely
giving you
think it's something
information.
we need to come back on because we're trying to be fair to our community out in the RA and down by the village and the water. So,
Maybe if it's not fully decided upon yet, then maybe we should wait to discuss it. We're working on a farmer's market at the moment in the concert
Yeah.
series.
yeah.
New
A
business.
lot of moving parts.
Yeah, but I hope we can pull it through and make it happen for sure.
That brings us to resolutions.
Okay.
Mike, you want to kick us
I'll
off?
go, yeah. I, Councilmember Stott, offering the following resolution with adoption, whereas on or about February 28th, 2025, the town of Queens, the town entered into a certain agreement for payment in lieu of taxes, the pilot agreement, with Civil Housing Development Fund Company Incorporated, the Housing Development Fund Company, and Civil Senior Housing Associates LP, the partnership, in connection with the redevelopment, ownership, rehabilitation, maintenance, and operation of a housing project for senior citizens of low income. And whereas the Housing Development Fund Company and the partnership are each in the process of selling its ownership interest to Liberty Civil, LLC, and each is desirous of assigning its respective rights and obligations under the pilot agreement to Liberty. And whereas the pilot agreement requires the town's consent to any such assignment, and the town is desirous of consenting to the assignment. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Queens hereby authorizes Supervisor Stephen Donnelly to execute the assignment and assumption of agreement for payment in lieu of taxes, the pilot, by and among the town of Queens, Civil Senior Housing Associates, LP, and Civil Housing Development Fund Company, Incorporated, dated as of February 28th, 2025, and to take such other and further action as may be necessary in connection therewithin.
Second discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye.
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 So moved. I, Supervisor Donnelly, offer the following resolution and move its adoption. Whereas the Town of Queens Highway Superintendent Daniel Baker delivered a letter of resignation to the Town Board of the Town of Queens on February 12th, 2026, with an effective date of February 27th, 2026. And whereas, as a result of Superintendent Baker's resignation, a vacancy now exists for the Office of Highway Superintendent. And whereas George Mountain has expressed an interest in being appointed to the Office of Highway Superintendent and meets or exceeds the qualification requirements for said position, therefore be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Queens does hereby appoint George LaMountain as the Town of Queens Highway Superintendent until December 31st of the year in which the town holds the next regular election, during which the office may be filled. Be it further resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Queens thanks Superintendent Baker for his years of service and dedication to the Town of Queens.
I'll second that.
Discussion?
I want to, Mr. LaMountain's here, correct? Hi. I just want to say thank you to Mr. LaMountain. He took the time to reach out to me, come to my house, have a great conversation. I want to thank the board for hosting it, doing the due diligence for this community. And I want to apologize to you for being brought here at the last meeting, thinking you were appointed then. So I would like to apologize to you publicly for that one. But truly thank you for taking the time to come out and speak to me. So very much appreciated. Absolutely.
Congratulations, George.
Well, we didn't quite do it yet. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Congratulations, George.
I, Councilmember Grogan, offer the following resolution and move its adoption. Whereas a vacancy exists on the Town of Queens Board of Assessment Review due to the resignation of Roxanne Stanton, and whereas we don't have a person in here, has expressed interest in being appointed to the Board of Assessment Review and meets or exceeds the qualification requirements for said position. Now therefore be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Queens does hereby appoint whomever this person is to the Board of Assessment Review for the remainder of Roxanne Stanton's term to expire on September 30th, 2028. Be it further resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Queens does hereby affirm the following appointments to the Board of Assessment Review. We currently have two people on there. David Coons is on there. His term expires September 30th, 2026. This new appointee will be till September 30th, 2028, and Neil Poulier is on there until September 30th, 2029.
Okay, so for discussion, I had conversations well, in the emails that I sent about someone interested in this position, on the 22nd, and on the 24th, you had put someone forward, and I sent an email out today, I don't know if you saw it, that there is a time constraint on this.
So,
That I had emailed out in February 9th, I think it was, and then our assessor, Dawn DeRose, also emailed on March 20th that we had to appoint somebody so that they could be trained in April. You reached out today and asked when that was. It's in Dawn's original email, April 16th. She's under a bit of pressure in order to get a person that can start training, and she really feels that 2 days is a small window.
so I emailed Dawn this afternoon when I found out that this person was being put forward to ask her what her final deadline is as far as putting this person forward. Here's my problem with it. March 20th, Friday, March 20th, is when we received the email from you recommending this person. Today's the 26th. I responded on the 24th with someone else that was interested, which is fine. I can't even tell you who this person is. So to sit here and say that this person has expressed an interest in being appointed to the Board of Assessment Review and meets or exceeds the qualification requirements for said position, I don't think any one of us on this board can say that we know that. Can you? Do you know the person?
I know her profession. Yeah. I mean,
Do you, if this person was sitting in this room right now, would you know who this person is?
she is sitting in this room right now.
Okay,
Yeah.
see, that's the thing. I don't know who the person is. I've had no conversation with this person. And I think this board, over and over again, we said it with Mr. LaMountain. We've said it with other people. If we're going to be appointing people and working with people, we should know who these people are.
Why isn't it posted?
It's not posted.
So once again, I'll go back to the February, because Dawn's office is right across the hallway from mine, and she's been, and I think I brought this to the board's attention in December of last year, because she's always looking out for it. I can't compel the board to respond to emails when we've sent out multiple candidates for these appointments and have hit brick walls every single time.
This is the first time any candidates have been put out, was March 20th and March 24th.
Well, we actually put 3 candidates ahead that weren't interviewed by the full board, I guess you could say. But I had interviewed everyone that we had put forward so far, and all the town board members that were put forward.
No. We're just talking about the BAR right now.
No,
We're
I
not
understand.
talking about town board or anything else.
The larger issue is the conversations aren't happening on email, and they typically happen during town board meetings when we have to be very careful about saying people's names. I had went forward, the first time that I went forward this way, because the first time I met you, I asked you, should we have qualifications, certain qualifications for people of the planning board and the zoning board of appeals? And you had a very sensible and community-minded answer. You said no, because I didn't know anything when I was appointed, and I learned so much.
And I was on a board with 8 other people. So one person with 8 other people is completely different than putting one person. We can take this to a vote, but I'm going to say no, and we can have a special meeting next week or something.
I'm just
because
bringing to your attention that our next meeting is the 14th, and then
No, we
Dawn
can
is
have a
going
special
to
meeting
need-
next week or something very quickly to do this if we need to.
Well, that's
but-
another point. I wrote an email on the 16th that we need to have a special meeting maybe on the 18th for other things that are pressing in the wastewater treatment plant, and no one responded. And once again, I cannot compel anyone to do work or to respond, but the emails and the communications are going out. Our office is working daily to put these resolutions on the table so that the town can move forward. And those discussions need to happen in the 2 weeks.
I'm not voting for someone that I don't know, and I apologize.
I'm not asking you to. I'm explaining to you how my office works, so that in the future, we can be on the same page just as well as with the agenda. Yes, you ask for it. If you have a concern, I address it. That's what my office does. My office dictates that I do that. That's why you get information that you need, even if I take it at face value. If I get information from one of the professionals that works for us, I give it to you. If that turns out to be hyperbole, it's not my job to weigh the content of the information. It's to give it to you as board members so that you can make.
I'm going to
Educated.
put this out here, and I don't want to put anyone's names on record. I did give you an individual who was on the BAR in the past and has served. So that was just something to consider also.
I would be more than happy to have a conversation, but I don't know. I don't have any contact information. There was no email address, no phone
I can
number.
happily share that with you, and I don't have a problem with meeting impromptu next week. We have 4 days next week.
Sounds great.
Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, if we
Okay.
have to come together to make this happen. I just don't think it's fair for any of us to be appointing someone that we don't know. And I can't speak on behalf of Mr. Schmidt. I do know that he sent an email to us telling us he couldn't be here, and he asked us to not appoint anyone without him also making sure we knew the individuals and that they are qualified, as this says. So can we carry on this further discussion and table this?
We will.
Okay,
Mr.
perfect.
McHugh, did you have your hand up to speak?
I did. These positions run out in September. We knew before the first of the year that Roxanne was not coming back. In January at the organizational meeting, everyone on this board reaffirmed 2 people, knowing that there was an empty spot. No one has taken care of it until this point, and now we're in a time crunch where you have to find a viable candidate who has to be able to train on the 14th. Otherwise, you will not have a grievance day this year, which means anyone that does have a grievance against the town will go directly to Article 7, which is money. So regardless of how the conversations are going, there were 4 people in January who approved a resolution that had 2 people on it with a blank space. I don't know why it's taken 3 months to get to the point of picking that person, but now you're out of time.
And I think part of the problem too is, for something like the BAR, I think we've asked a few people. I know I've asked a few people, and it's hard to find people to take on that spot. It's not the most glorious position, but it is an important position. Again, I have no problem tabling it, but it's time sensitive. Like, we have to figure out Tuesday, Wednesday next week to meet and decide on this, and maybe some other stuff too, but it's got to get done before really April break, I would assume.
Could I ask a question? How do you know there's vacancies? How do people find out there's vacancies on these boards?
Typically, I guess what had happened in the past is when there's a vacancy, the supervisor suggests someone, and then the board approved it. We have to be a more communicative
How does the
board.
general public find out that there's a vacancy that,
I guess by coming to meetings, Candace just said that.
I come to the meeting.
No, understood. I'm just trying to answer your
I've had
question.
21 years on a BAR. I was chairman in New Baltimore for
Okay.
21 years. I didn't know anything about this. Never heard a word.
Okay.
I'm just saying, even like the other boards.
No, we understand.
How do you find out there's a vacancy? It's not posted anywhere.
I would once again just say meetings. The information is here.
I come to the meetings,
Understood.
and I've never heard about this vacancy.
Okay, very good. Okay, so we will table that for tonight.
Stephen,
Thank you.
did you want to set up an interview?
Yes, we can do that.
Okay.
I personally have interviewed 4 people for this spot, and now there's a 5th, and I have no problem interviewing another.
And Roxanne knows me, you can ask Roxanne.
But
So whenever if you need my qualifications, resume.
so this is going to bring up another conversation. You've interviewed 3 other people?
Yeah.
Mr. Stott, were you aware of that? I'm not.
They were all in emails, and if anybody wants to foil the emails from January 1st to now that the town board has been having, please do. They are in great detail, and they tell a heck of a story.
Please share them with me after this meeting. Thank you.
You are on them.
Okay.
Okay.
Make sure we get everybody's phone number or email address so we can talk to everybody.
Pick a date
Sure.
next week.
What's that?
We need to pick a date for next week and confirm that the clerk is available.
Probably. That'd be probably the best practice.
I'm pretty good next week, so you guys just tell me.
You said you're free, Candace, next week?
I don't have any
Okay.
engagements that evening, those evenings.
So
Weekend.
Monday, as soon as possible.
We could do Monday. I could do Monday.
The 30th.
Is that, sufficient time to do what everybody needs to do so that
Tomorrow.
in more of a position than you are tonight?
It's sufficient time to post, but is it sufficient time for you to
Reach out.
and answer?
I think I'm comfortable if that's what Trish thinks.
Do we know when Mr. Schmidt's coming back?
Oh, yeah.
I can shoot him a quick text. You said Monday, is there?
If you're comfortable with
Or we
Tuesday
could-
or Wednesday, I'm looking at once again, the April deadline. I'm
Let's,
just always looking at deadlines.
I'll ask Steve what day he's back, but I can do Tuesday or Wednesday.
Tuesday or Wednesday? Tuesday works better for me.
Correct. So the training is the 14th. I can look and see if they're
So maybe the 31st?
It's the 16th.
know that it's off.
The training is on the 16th, and our meeting is on the 14th. So if we met with these individuals on Tuesday, we could tentatively approve it on the 14th, and they're good to go on the 16th, if need be.
As long as you're aware that they're available for that day.
Right. Right, so that's a whole nother thing. Okay. All right, I can meet on Tuesday, so we can try to schedule with these individuals. You mentioned that there were those 3 other people. Are you going to be contacting them or just limiting it to the 2?
Well, I believe only Mike and I have only spoke with the one that I'm thinking of. Another one pulled out, and the third one,
I had mentioned the one
yeah.
in email.
Okay. The supervisor just said that both you and him met with that individual.
Well, we had brought
No.
it to your attention months ago.
Through phone call.
I don't know that were they really interviews, or these are names that have been floated and people may or may not have reached out to individuals to see if they were even interested?
I spoke to each and every one.
I don't know that they were formal.
Okay.
No, they weren't.
Okay.
One was conversation, but that was it.
It's Tuesday.
Okay.
Just not to complicate things, but the town clerk has pointed out that in the past, historically, you have at times had an alternate. And so if you have more than one who are interested, that might be something that the board wants to consider when you make these appointments, so that if you have a resignation in the future, maybe you won't have
That's a good
the
point.
issue that you have now.
That's a good point. Thank you.
It is an additional cost, but it's not that big of a cost, and it's probably worth it for something like this.
Oh, yeah, then it alleviates what we're in right now. And you saying that this seat has been vacant since September. Thank you. Okay. All right.
Where are we at?
9.4. So this one's tabled.
I'm up. Yep. So Councilmember Stott, offering the following resolution, moves adoption, whereas the Town of Queens Police Chief Mark Tryon has expressed an interest in reducing his hours and, as a result, his salary in order to make funds available in the police department budget for the hiring of additional part-time officers. Now therefore be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Queens does hereby authorize a reduction in Police Chief Mark Tryon's salary for the remainder of the budget year 2026 in the amount of $12,800. And be it further resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Queens hereby authorizes an amendment to the employees, positions, and salaries listed on the schedule attached to resolution number 038-26 to reflect the above change.
Second discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
So moved.
Yep.
Could we backtrack a little bit and do Definite for the 31st?
Yeah, I did ask Steve when he's back, but the three of us will have to go if he's not back. I mean, we
Okay.
don't,
Yeah, can you make a motion just stating you're having a meeting that day and town clerk is authorized to post it?
so I'll make a motion that we're gonna have a special meeting on Tuesday,
31st.
March 31st, and the town clerk will post that. It will be
6 p.m.
at 6 p.m. here at Town Hall.
Second, discussion, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
I Supervisor Donnelly offer the following resolution and move its adoption. Whereas the town board of the town of Queens recognizes that current technology in certain circumstances makes electronic payments more efficient than sending a paper check, and whereas some town vendors may require the use of automatic clearinghouse ACH transactions, which may also otherwise provide more favorable payment terms for the issuing payment in such a manner, and whereas General Municipal Law, Section 5A, authorizes the town to utilize ACH as a means of dispersing and transferring funds, and whereas the town board of the town of Queens has determined it be in the best interest of the town to make certain financial transactions by using ACH for transfers and withdrawals, be it resolved that the town board of the town of Queens hereby approves the following. The town board of the town of Queens authorizes Supervisor Stephen Donnelly to execute written agreements with the National Bank of Kentucky and the Bank of Greene County, prescribing the manner in which electronic or wire transfers of funds shall be accomplished, identifying by number and name those accounts from which electronic or wire transfers may be made, identifying the town supervisor and the town clerk as officers that are authorized to initiate the electronic or wire transfers from those accounts they have oversight over. And implementing a security procedure as defined in Section 4A201 of the Uniform Commercial Code. Second, the town board of the town of Queens adopts and attaches best practices to serve as a system of internal controls for the documentation and reporting of all transfers or disbursements of funds by electronic or wire transfer.
I'll second that.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
So moved.
I, Councilmember Grogan, offer the following resolution and move its adoption. Whereas the United States Department of Agriculture, or USDA, has awarded a community project funding grant, in the amount of $500,000 to offset the expenses related to the Town of Queens Wastewater Project Phase 1, the project. And whereas the Town Board of the Town of Queens previously retained LaBerge Engineering and Consulting Group, Ltd., LaBerge, to provide grant administration services to the town. And whereas by resolution number 043-25, the Town Board of the Town of Queens previously authorized the town supervisor to sign LaBerge addendum number 2025012-00 to approve LaBerge's original proposal bill to $10,000 in connection with the administration of the grant. And whereas additional administration work not originally accounted for was required in connection with the grant, including to access funds to replace the existing sewer pump stations. And whereas the town has now received a proposal from LaBerge dated March 3rd, 2026 to represent the additional work, and whereas LaBerge proposes to bill an additional amount not to exceed $10,000 of $10,000 for addendum number 2025012-01 for a total amount of $20,000 in connection with the administration of the grant. Now therefore be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Queens does hereby authorize Supervisor Stephen Donnelly to sign the addenda provided by LaBerge.
I'll second that.
Discussion?
Oh, yes. We have an addendum with LaBerge for $10,000 to do the scope of this work. And now they're asking for an additional $10,000. I have a huge problem giving them another $10,000 for a couple of reasons. We had LaBerge here giving us an entire spiel and presentation. Not one time did they say this was going to cost us more. That's number one. Number two, we are paying them $50,000 to do the engineering of this project. We're paying them an additional $40,000 to do the grant for the CDBG. And now they had a contract and an agreement to do this for $10,000. And I'm also going to say I didn't appreciate that Ben said he's halting all the work because of this. To me, that's not professional. It's not businesslike. You work together and you try to figure things out. But if we have a contract with them for $10,000, that's contract. That's an agreement. And I would also like to point out that I printed their grid that they sent last week. The emails that were sent to you were sent in February about the additional requirements that we needed because that form that had to be filled out, which was a 3-page fillable form, and I'm going to be honest, it did look like it was something that you could have filled out, not necessarily LaBerge. So if we're paying him $10,000 to fill out that 3-page form, that's insanity. Furthermore, when you look at his grid that he provided to us, he exceeded his $10,000 April 22nd, 2025. From April till now, he had no idea that he was going to need more money. And then on January 27th, 2026, he's billing us for 97 and a half hours in one day, 1 month, 97 hours, for a total of $16,000 extra. Not at one time has Ben Seiden sent an email to this board telling us why this occurred.
To answer your questions, I guess we can work backwards. So USDA, I spoke to them this afternoon. Chris Hunsinger, that we met in January because he wanted to go down and look at the lift stations. The national office, where the money, the $500,000 comes from, and his program manager are asking why the funds they're sent are not being obligated. And the USDA needs a detailed budget revision. That's not something that the supervisor's office is going to do. That's what we hired LaBerge to do. That's why Nancy Costine and Scott Siegel are both working on this. And they've put in literally, you can see the hours that they worked on. Second of all, LaBerge has already done $25,000 of work. Third, USDA recommends that the grant writers will charge 5 to 12% of any grant. So $500,000, that would be anywhere in between $40,000 or $50,000. So we're already getting this at half price. And LaBerge has proven over and over again that they don't work just to find projects, they work to build towns. They did it with our town hall. If you remember, I don't know if you were watching the meeting, you weren't on the board. They engineered that for $18,500 when the second bid was $80,000. Their architect said that he would not go above $18,500, and he did not. And he did all of the work that the second agency said that they were going to do without raising his price. So they are working for half price most of the time. And the CDBG that you're talking about for $40,000, that should actually be, once again, CDBG recommends 5 to 12%, and that would be $100,000. So we're getting a 60% sale on all of these grants that they are working day and night on. I talk to Scott all the time. He's consistently in the office like I am at 6 o'clock working, and they just simply want to be paid. And yes, maybe Ben put out $10,000 because when he talked to Colleen Cowher from USDA at the very beginning, she said the money was earmarked and it was going to be a simple application. Turned out to be almost a full application with one tab that they didn't have to fill out, which is all Nancy working, whom I talked to. And I wish you would reach out to Nancy or Scott because they have both said, please, why don't your board just reach out to us and ask us these questions that we can answer them directly. And I responded that I have no idea why the board does not reach out and ask these questions directly. In the 2-week interim, from meeting to meeting, there have been 0 communications from board members. I speak with these people almost daily to try to navigate the wildfire of the projects that Keith is saying. The plant is falling down around his ears. The guys are working in unsafe conditions, and we're quibbling over these small little
It's not a matter of quibbling over. I mean, 10,000 here, 10,000 there, it all adds up.
It does
And
add
our
up.
job as a board is to be fiscally responsible. So I'm just
And we
very,
are fiscally responsible. We're getting half price grant
so
administration.
I'm just very confused and I'm trying to get clarification. We have an email from Chris Hunsinger, who you just mentioned, that during our review of your application, it was noted that the estimated funding sources and proposed budget do not line up with our program requirements. If there is anything else that you wish to change, feel free to make the corrections. Please sign and date this. And this goes on. And
No,
Scott
please
Siegel.
sign and date this February 17th. He sent that on the 9th.
Correct.
You received these when
Correct.
I received them.
Correct.
And there was no response. For your
Scott
review.
Siegel responded.
Yeah.
From LaBerge, good morning Supervisor. We were able to address these items in pretty short order. However, I am inclined to hold off for the next few days until after the town board has made a decision on which direction to proceed after Thursday's meeting. It just doesn't seem to make sense to go through the motions should the decision be made not to move the project. My point is, so why didn't he address it in here that it was going to incur more cost? This was a perfect opportunity to let us know
What date
that
were they here?
they were here in January. This letter came in February.
Right.
And now in March, we're being told we have to give them $10,000
Right.
more.
So when they were here, that was the bond resolution? that
But
we were
in this
stumbling
email,
over?
when they were told there's more work, not at one point in time did they say it's going to cost more money. So listen, the work has to get done. But if we sit here and say, sure, here's $10,000, the next project that comes, because you're saying that we got 60% off and they're going to tell us it's more money. So either we sit here and try to split the cost with them or something, but we have a contract with them. And I still would like to go back to the fact that he put in writing that they're holding off because we didn't approve this last month. That was not professional at all. And then you retracted it and said, oh, they're not holding off.
Because you addressed a concern, and I called Scott personally, and I called Nancy Costin personally, and I said, are you stopping work? And they said, no, because of the congressionally directed spending, it was put on the back burner.
But we had an email that said they
Do you
were
underst-
stopping work.
Do you remember when we were having conversations about the congressionally directed spending, how we didn't want to do that because we already had the phase 1 project? That was your email where you said, why do we have to do another thing? We just did a thing. And my response was, we're doing multiple things.
Correct.
This town needs help. It has been neglected for decades. When I went to the highway and talked to those guys, they had a laundry list of things. And I thought to myself, my God, it's another wastewater treatment plant. They've been being neglected. The wastewater treatment plant's been being
We know
neglected.
that. We know that. And that's why we're doing
I
this
don't know
project.
if you understand it, though. You
Oh, I
can hear the
100% am
words.
aware of that. And I am not sitting here saying to hold this project up by any means. I was
We
actually
can't.
really,
We can't hold this project up.
I'm not
These
saying we're
things need
going to.
move
And I was
forward.
actually upset that Ben said that they were not continuing with it. Okay, so
Well,
let's,
whether
please
you
please
think
do
he's
not spin this.
professional or not is
Okay.
not relevant
So
to the
is it possible
conversation.
to possibly reach out to them to see if they'll cut this in half and meet us halfway?
No, we
Okay,
already
then,
discussed it.
well,
They've already put in $25,000 and he's asking for 20. And it should be 50. So this conversation is just a performance at this point.
and then you can. tell me
I
what
think,
you
you know, the $10,000, I don't think the $10,000 is necessarily, you know, I think it was more sticker shock than anything else. I agree, you know, it was sort of unaware, but the $20,000 for the amount of work we're getting, from what I've researched, and again, I'm no expert, but from my research, it's not, you know, it's not a bad deal. It's a fairly good deal. I just think it was the sticker shock of seeing it, you know, perhaps the way the billing went or something. It was more of a shock to the system. But as far as the $10,000 to make it a full $20,000, I don't know if necessarily that's an inappropriate amount. I just think it was seen, you know, it came out of nowhere, sort of. And again, you know, whether you're an attorney, whether you're an engineer, they work for very high hourly rates. So, you know, if they're putting in even minimal hours, it probably adds up fairly quickly. But again, I do understand as well that this is all grants are time sensitive. So, you know, when we have our main engine, which is LaBerge, working forward and you know, trying to push forward these grants, we got to protect ourselves. Absolutely, Ms. Grogan, I agree with you. But at the same time, we have to make sure we're not holding anything up or losing anything. Sometimes you got to spend money to make money. But by all means, protect yourself and you know, cross all your T's and dot all your I's as well.
If you don't mind me just saying, this has been going on for 4 years now. The last administration spent a ton of legal fees on doing the same grant money that you're trying to fight for now. 4 years gone by. and you're still fighting about the same money. They didn't fill out the paperwork right. Now you have an opportunity to fill out the paperwork right and get it done. But this is 4 years. We've already spent money with CMJ Engineering on this whole thing. Now you're spending with the birds. I mean, I understand, but this has been going on for 4 years now. Enough's enough. Come on. It's sewer plant. The town is falling apart all the way around. And we can't get anything done because we fight here. We got 3 board members. They're supposed to have 5. When are we going to get something done without fighting every Thursday night? Just get something done. Everybody around us is growing, and we're imploding. I mean, it's crazy.
So if you are okay, I have no problem reaching out to Scott or Ben, and we can vote on this on Tuesday to see if they are willing to cut this down. I have no problem reaching out to them. I can reach out to Scott or Ben.
So I put an email out on the 16th that we would have a meeting on the 18th because this is 2 weeks behind, and I want to really, really bring this to your attention. When the USDA reaches out to the supervisor's office and says, where are we with this? Because the national office is asking about that project, and so is our program director, that means the project is getting ready to die. They're wondering, why is this money not being obligated? We gave you this money, and why is it just sitting there? Why is no action being taken? This town is not going to be taken seriously if we keep hitting roadblocks every single Thursday night, like Keith says. We need to do this, and we need to do it now. Every time we push past 2 more weeks and 2 more weeks, this project should have been out to bid right now, March. We should have done this in September when we had the 5-member board, and we didn't. We have to keep convincing board members how this works and that it's good for the town. This project should be out to bid right now, and we're barely scraping past grant administration for $10,000. I'm with Keith. I don't understand what the issue is here, and we're working. I've put hundreds of hours into this for the last 2 years, and so was LaBerge. I'm out of adjectives, of words to describe these roadblocks we keep running into.
Like I said, I don't have a problem reaching out to them to see if they'll be willing to meet us halfway on this, because we did have a contract with one amount, and a contract is a contract. And on Tuesday, when we have that meeting, we can put this forward and hope that they have good faith as a business, knowing that we have a contract for a set amount, that they'll be willing to split the difference.
Okay, well, if there's no further discussion, I'm going to put this for a vote because I want the town to know whose mouth the no is coming out of. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
No,
Opposed?
no, we can bring it back up on Tuesday. No. Thank you.
I just want to mention, as my husband goes back to work right now.
Motion
Just for
does not
people.
carry.
Mike, you have the next one.
Can I ask a question? What happens if they don't agree to split the difference?
Yeah,
Well, I guess we'll find out on Tuesday. I mean, we do have counsel here, and a contract is a contract. So,
How much money are we talking
you know
about?
what? It's not public comment. Mike, you go.
I, Councilmember Stott, offering the following resolution with its adoption. Whereas the town of Queens, the town is desirous of conducting a road study. Are we going to table this?
I thought we were going to table that.
I'll do the next one. I apologize.
No, that's fine.
I, Councilmember Stott, offering the following resolution and with its adoption. Whereas the town of Queens, the town, in previous years has hosted a farmers market at its town parks during the summer months, and whereas as a result of positive feedback from the public, the town is again desirous of hosting such an event during the summer of 2026. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the town board of the town of Queens hereby authorizes the 2026 Queens Farmers Market to be located at Riverfront Park on each Thursday beginning June 4th, 2026 and ending September 10th, 2026 from 4:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. And be it further resolved that the town board of the town of Queens does hereby designate Regina Bryant and Ava Bryant to solicit vendors for the farmers market. And be it further resolved that the town board of the town of Queens hereby authorizes the town clerk to issue the necessary permits to vendors upon receipt of acceptable applications and to take all other and further actions as may be necessary in connection therewithin.
Second discussion?
Just to confirm, so this is specific to the farmer's market piece. there's going to be further discussion in terms of the bands and whether
Correct.
both locations are one.
So if we do the bands at both, are we then gonna put the farmer's market at both?
Well, this says the farmer's market goes at Riverfront Park.
Right,
And again, I mean, I vaguely remember when we had it years ago, but and I think it's a great idea, but at the same time, I think just the Riverfront Park, it's all blacktopped. It's more open. I feel like if you're going to have a farmer's market, perhaps that might be the best location. I still agree that the band should probably play both Drummond and Riverfront, but maybe the farmer's market, in my opinion, I think would be the best location.
so would we do the farmer's market on the Thursday down here at the river when we're gonna do the band up at Joralemon? So we'll have two separate events going on at two separate locations?
Guess we'd have to discuss that. I'd also like to change September 24th. It's supposed to be not the 10th.
Okay.
So I don't know how we could word it to where, until we finalize that. Because we're gonna have further discussion as far as the music at both parks.
I mean, you could indicate at locations to be determined, just so that.
This is authorizes Regina to solicit vendors, right?
Give them some ability to
Yeah,
proceed.
I think that's probably the best option.
So location to be determined?
So
Well, we can't really ask for applications if we can't tell them where they're going. So,
You'd have to
just putting that out there.
notify that them both.
I mean, if they don't mind submitting an application without knowing, but you may have people withdraw
If it's
if it's at one place or the other.
versus the other.
It's just getting much more difficult than it needs to be.
yeah,
Well, and I don't disagree with you, but at our last meeting, we agreed we were gonna do the farmer's market at both parks, the music at both parks, and then we came here tonight and it's a change of plans. So it's really hard when we're all in agreement at one meeting and then we come here and we show up and we have a change of plans with no discussion. So that's really frustrating.
So the discussion was that when I left at 4 o'clock, we learned that the bands weren't booking like they were last year.
Then it shouldn't have come onto the agenda then if we as a board didn't have a discussion.
I guess at the same time, again, we want Regina to sort of have the opportunity and the ability to reach out. I mean, even formally, informally, and this does that. So we don't want to hold off another 2 weeks, or do we, to try to figure out what we're going to do exactly, and then that's 2 weeks we lost to try to get vendors.
Well, Regina has to contact vendors because I started this in January, or actually in December, because I asked Regina, when do vendors want to be contacted by? What's our deadline? And she said February. So once again, we're running months behind. I'm going to put it to a vote. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I'm gonna vote for it aye. And I'm hoping if we make different plans at Joralemon that we can be flexible and reach out to vendors and also to Regina to offer this to our wide community.
And that might happen, but it's tough when you're trying to coordinate two totally separate items at the same venue, right?
But I also think stuff should not be put in this folder the night of when we as a board have not discussed it.
Is that something you need to decide before the 31st meeting? Will it be on that agenda?
Well, I guess we can definitely talk about it at the 31st. But she can start putting out for it, and I guess if worst comes to worst, we do every other week down here with the farmer's market, with the music, and then if we have music out there, we just either go without the farmer's market in one of the locations. I guess we'll have to figure it out, because this was a change of plans today, and this was new. Again, it really should not have been in here if we didn't discuss it.
I, Councilmember Donnelly, offer the following resolution and move its adoption. Whereas the New York State Town Clerks Association's annual conference will be in Albany on April 20th through the 22nd of this year, and whereas the town clerk is desirous of attending a conference so that she may attend classes and participate in the training opportunities that the conference offers. And whereas the conference registration fee must be paid no later than April 15th, 2026, and the town board is desirous of authoring such payment, be it resolved that the town clerk is hereby authorized to attend the New York State Town Clerks Association's annual conference in Albany, New York on April 20th through the 22nd, 2026. And it is further authorized to submit a voucher for the resignation fee, mileage, and any other
Registration. Resignation.
Oh, yeah, I'm getting ready to quit. Registration fee, mileage, and any other related reimbursable expenses.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
I, Councilmember Grogan, offer the following resolution and move its adoption. Be it resolved that the town board has approved the payment of bills as presented in the abstract for March 2026 as follows. Prepaid vouchers 25-00106 and 26-00214 to 26-0027 from the following funds. The general fund is $749,264.76. Part-town is $24,967.03. Highway part-town DB is $96,134.46. The highway capital project, H capital project, $502.97. Sewer is $45,082.21. The trust and agency is $59,259.07. Voucher numbers 26-00277 to 26-00358 from the following funds. General, $59,388.01. Part-town, $3,995.49. Highway DA, $3,514.33. Highway Part-town DB, $28,382.30. H Capital Project, $395.50. The sewer, $19,366.93. The TA fund, $3,130. This is the total for all funds, $1,093,383.06.
I second that.
Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Upcoming meetings, April 2nd is the PBDA at 7 o'clock and April 14th is our regular meeting, and we have a special meeting on the 31st of March at 6 p.m. Public comment time. If anyone has anything they'd love to share with us, please step to the lectern. We'd love to hear it.
Hi, Linda Geraldson. Do we have anywhere yet to file a public nuisance complaint?
I'm sorry. I got that on my priority list. I'm so sorry.
And we still do not have an updated town website. I think I've talked about this, asked about it. I've emailed Mr. Fazio. I've given him dates of things that were missing. Dates are still nothing has changed. Absolutely nothing has changed on that website.
I thought you were working with him on that. He's not.
Yeah, you know what? I'm over it.
He's not.
I'm literally over it. I mean, I can't keep asking. This is beyond ridiculous. I can't keep asking to have something done, and then it just doesn't get done. Kind of sounds like the board meetings. Like, I mean, this is absolutely positively insane that the town of Queens doesn't have an updated website. Insane. Okay. Ms. Grogan, you said you had concerns about wedding venues. My residential area was taken away 10 years ago. Okay, and being 4 years in 2023, when I actually want to go and ask for grievance on my taxes because it is absolutely positively ridiculous. And I'm sitting here now thinking and listening that there's a possibility I might be lumped into another study when I've been waiting for a road study. It is not going to happen. It's absolutely positively not going to happen. 6:30 this morning, 18-wheeler, I've provided DEC. Since I've been back, videos of dust. And I will provide tomorrow probably 8, because I was trying to enjoy my grandbaby as I was watching them march up and down my hill, spewing this disgusting dust all over the place. It is absolutely not going to happen. Unless you live there, you have no idea. 10 years and 4 years being the blunt of this, and now I want to open my windows again? No, get it together, people. Like, this is beyond ridiculous. It's beyond unbelievable. I have asked to have North Jarvis opened, put a weight limit on my road, open up North Jarvis, let the business do business, give concessions to the one person that's road frontage. This is ridiculous. You have 12 residents on mine and 19 on South. But yet South has had the weight limit. We have had nothing. Nothing. And you think I'm going to be lumped into a road study that, if you guys read minutes from 2018, exactly what happened, the state came in and everything was promised the world, and you were going to get stop signs and you were going to get this and traffic was going to change. Guess what? Nothing happened. You got the road paved and you got some sidewalks. And everybody's still dealing with traffic. Water main break right there in the village, this just recently costs a resident over $28,000. You think that's fair to him? Right in the, is it a coincidence? Maybe, maybe not. Okay? I mean, this is absolutely 6:40 this morning. 6:40. Okay? It is ridiculous. I don't live on 144. I don't live on 9W. I live on this little tiny back road that nobody ever knew where the hell it was. That's why I bought that house 30 years ago and lived next to a working quarry for 20, and never had one truck. Never had one truck. Maybe once in a blue moon they'd bring a piece of equipment in. And I'm dealing with this day in and day out, and everybody wants to say, oh, well, maybe you'll get into the road study that might be 9 months from now. No way. No way. No way. I will sit out there with my chair and I tell you something. I will make it my job, and DEC will shut them down. I won't wait for the town. Okay? Because I cannot live like this. I refuse to have my grandchildren breathe that nonsense. I sent videos. Everybody knows what the hell kind of dust that's going by my house, road frontage. No, I can't do it. I can't do it. I won't do it. You're talking about taking care of people? Absolutely, positively not. No, we have endured so much. We have listened to so much lip service. We have literally, and I was a fool for 4 years, worked with these two businesses, never came to a town board once. Literally worked with those two businesses trying to be a good resident. And what the hell do I get? 232 trucks shoved down my throat? No, absolutely not. I'm done. I'm over it. I'm done. You guys better get it together and figure something out. Because I'm telling you, you want to be fair to the community? You want to say, oh, Geralman Park needs to have a farmer's market? Guess what? My road needs truck traffic off of it. Okay?
Thank you. That is time.
That is time. And thank God you guys appointed George. I mean, really? All the people voted for that. And, yep.
Your time's up. I'm sorry.
Okay, do you want me to come back or do you want me to continue?
Your time is up. 5
Okay,
minutes.
I'll be back. Go ahead, somebody else.
Further comment?
I'll give her my time.
Thank you.
Here you go.
So, and I just wanted to say, Ms. Grogan, that you apologized to George and said, you were sorry that he came. And after the last meeting, Annette reached out to my husband and provided me with the letter, okay, that she provided the board. And that's exactly what happened to her.
You are 100.
Exactly what happened to her, and I think it's unfair. I think those residents also have a voice and a concern. They voted for her. They voted for Deanna. I don't know why neither one of them is not sitting in these seats until another election. We have got to stop being political, and I know everybody will say, no, it's not. It is. We have got to start working as people for this town because Keith is right. Our town is going down the sewer like you would not believe, okay? And that's, I mean, I don't even know. And I read her letter and I felt horrible for her. And Lord knows she probably doesn't want the job. I don't know, but somebody should be reaching out to her because she had 900 and some people of these residents that said, I want you here. Why are we just not moving forward with what's right? And not worried about all of this stuff? You guys can get this together and be simple. Like, and my husband's right. I mean, like, forget it. The sewer apartment is going to fall apart. And you know what? You are just so lucky you have that man. Because I'll tell you, you had anybody else, you'd have been done a long time ago.
Thanks, Linda.
I do want to agree with Ms. Charlton. It did happen to Ms. Demetrasic also. And I spoke to Ms. Demetrasic last week, actually. And I asked her if I could speak publicly again on her behalf. And she said absolutely. Because what happened to Mrs. Demetrasic, the same thing just happened with Mr. LaMountain. And I'm imagining, ma'am, it happened to you tonight also. You were told to come because we were going to appoint you. I don't know why that's happening. I think you were told by the supervisor to come here that you were going to be appointed. I think Mr. LaMountain was told by the supervisor to come here, he was going to be appointed. The same thing happened with Mrs. Demetrasic. It's not okay. And I apologize to all of you for wasting your time coming out when the board is not in agreement. So, Mrs. Charlton, you are 100% right to say that about Mrs.
Well,
Demetrasic.
there shouldn't be an agreement, it should be a natural. It shouldn't
Because
be a given.
when I met with her, what happened to her, and her letter was heartfelt, and you could feel it. And to show up here at the organizational meeting with her Bible and her family and her grandchildren, that was awful. So thank you for bringing that up again.
Further public comment?
Evening, Mark Dorsey, Circle M Ranch, 1841. We've emailed you guys a bunch of times. We don't get any replies from our emails. We do get the permit. I want to say thanks for that. But to move forward, we're not sure how we can do that when you guys are afraid to come around me. So in your code, 7117 states we can do an intermunicipal agreement with another town to come and do our inspections. So we're ready to move forward and do inspections, but there's no way we can have Jason on our property or anybody else, because you sent the staff home one day because they're afraid of me. You mentioned in the last meeting, you suggested, in your opinion, that we shouldn't have face-to-face meetings. So again, we try and email you guys, but we get no response. We got a response from you saying we'd hear something from somebody soon. That was 10 days ago, nothing. So we're just trying to figure out a way to move forward, and we get no response.
It sounds like it's in the code
With you guys.
It's in the building department right now. It sounds like that's where it's at. So I think when he.
Somebody emails, let us know. I mean, I don't want to come every Thursday, every other Thursday.
Appreciate it.
We get no response, zero. So again, your code states
It's not,
17
if
states.
you're talking to my office, it's not my determination to come out and inspect your buildings. It's code enforcement.
But you made a determination that your office and town-wide staff can't come around me.
I have not made that determination.
You actually said it at the last meeting.
I sent my staff
made a statement as well.
early on a Friday because they had worked hard and it was 4 o'clock and I let them go. I stayed in the office.
That's not what you said in the last meeting. And he actually said in the last meeting, your staff does not meet with us.
Okay, very good.
So we're just trying to find out how to move forward. Sir?
Mr. Dorsey, I'll talk to Mr. Shimeleski tomorrow and see where he is in response to the email your wife sent a few days ago, and I'll see, him or somebody will reach out to you with the next steps forward or what they think should happen. I mean, I did talk to Jason, I think, a couple days ago, and I said, hey, where are we with that email? And we respond, and somebody else interrupted and got lost in transition, but I'll reach out to him tomorrow and I'll call him and see who's going to respond and when. And, if I get an answer, I'll sure email you back and tell you what the answer is.
The past 15 months, we sent out just less than 20 emails to 13 different members of the town and gotten 3 responses total. And the responses are basically, we received your email, thank you, we'll get back to you, and nothing. Again, we can't have face-to-face meetings, Counselor. How else do we go about?
I think we do, I mean, again, the building permits were issued, so inspection legally needs to happen, I would assume.
You cannot have an employee from the town come on my property when you're having police officers come here because they're scared of me. He's saying that his recommendation is not to have in-person meetings with me. So again, to be safe for you guys, your code states, 7117 states, that you can do an intermunicipal agreement. So another municipality that borders me, which is Bethlehem, can do the inspections. And that'd be safe for you guys and safe for me. I have way more to lose than Jason or somebody else. So again, if he's not feeling safe, I don't want him near us, to be honest with you. I mean, 15 months to get a permit for windows and doors is inappropriate.
Well, there's 2 code enforcement officers, so.
Your staff, he said staff cannot have personal interaction with us. So you sent staff home just for that reason, sir. So
Okay.
you have officers sitting here at ZBA meetings and board meetings. That's you guys created this, not me. So again, we don't feel safe. Sir, I have, I got one more thing real quick.
Mark,
You give me $10,000, you shouldn't spend $6,000 on him to look at my Facebook, my wife's Facebook. Right? I mean, let's be honest. Right? $6,000 to stop me from getting a permit for windows and doors. This is not $6,000 to help Mark Dorsey or Circle M Ranch. This is $6,000 to build a case for windows and doors.
beyond the
So-
3 minutes,
Time up.
Mr. Dorsey.
I will check with Jason and, see a response of how you move forward.
Thank you. Further public comment?
Thank you. I just wanted to bring you up to speed, Karen Wentz, just so you know who I am. Hannah Commercial Real Estate, local residents of Ravena, and a broker for the last 3.5 years and realtor for the last 10 years. Whether or not I move forward with the Board of Assessment is a whole nother conversation after today's example of the board working together. I have second thoughts, just so you know. But I did want to mention just a little project that I've been working on in the background, if that's okay with you, Supervisor Donnelly.
It is. I actually put it in the email this afternoon as some of your qualifications that you are volunteering your time working with the town on the Hill Trip. Yes.
Yeah, so I've been working with Grace Methodist Church on, with Liberty House and Nancy Krupak, who actually helped me bring it all together, to see if we could get Liberty House to purchase Grace and convert it into more affordable housing partner with Seville. We're only in early stages of conversation and emails. We don't have a contract or anything formally drafted. We've met, we've toured the property. It's a possibility. Again, you'd have to get funding, grants, and all kinds of other, process to go through. Where we're at with it right now is Liberty House came out and did a phase 1. And I followed up today in an email, and I'm hoping to get a response as to what the phase 1 results were. And I just wanted to bring that up and let you know what we're working on. I think it'd be a great addition to our community and help more people who need housing. And it's a great location. So on a side note with trucking, as we all know, as we live here, I had an incident personally recently with a truck coming out of Albany Port that I actually called 911 on because he tried to kill me.
Is this the Port of Albany?
Port of Albany. Coming up, pulled up in front of me, and you go slow up the hill, and you wait, and I got to pass him on the straightaway. Well, apparently he didn't like that, and he followed me, and he tagged me. We got on the thruway together, and he literally tried to run me off the road. I called 911, and I said, I am afraid for my life. I think I'm going to die. They said, can you get a license plate? I said, no, I am not going anywhere near this crazy person, because then he started driving and going in and out on the thruway weaving back and forth in between cars. I don't know if they ever got him, but shortly after that, I noticed there was more safety protocols going on down at the port. I now have purchased a camera for the front and rear of my car. And if anything happens like this again, I will gladly turn it over to the police.
This started on 144 heading north.
Yes, getting onto the thruway and continued all the way almost up to 23, where I got off.
So this is the Port of Queens you're talking about, not the Port
That's
of
correct.
Brooklyn.
Port of
Okay.
Queens. Yeah, no, not, yeah, Port of Queens driver. There's a lot of trucks that come out of there too.
Okay.
So,
Wait, it was one of our drivers?
yes, it was. It scared, I thought I was gonna die. I now have PTSD over these trucks.
It was a Carver truck.
No,
Oh, that's,
no,
That's
it was
his car.
Port. I don't know. I don't know.
Oh.
I don't know. I know that I now have PTSD over these trucks. I'm afraid that I will die if I come too close to one of these trucks. So it is a problem. It does have to be dealt with. And I have purchased, like I said, a camera for the front and the back of my car. And if this happens again, I will report it to the state police and the police.
Thanks, Karen.
Public comment.
Sorry you had to go through that.
Yeah, me too. I'm alive though. Thank you.
Hi, Deb Sotolano from Town New Baltimore Board. I'll be very brief. I just want to say that I really appreciated the conversation about the traffic study. In order for this DOT to recognize that this is a much larger problem than one town or another town, it's important that the study be consistent. And so when it came out, obviously I understand the funding is through Albany, but I think in order for the data capture and everything to be consistent in the analysis, that New Baltimore really should be part of that study. I wanted to just to update you that I've been speaking with our county exec, Patrick Linger, and he is already working with our Greene County superintendent of highway to talk to the consultants to get some idea of the scope and how the study is going to be conducted. It was, and I'm not speaking for the town of Bethlehem, but I think in order to really give a full picture of what is happening, and I appreciate what was said because our people have, for years, we've been getting the story and not really getting a consistent response to remedy this problem. So I appreciated what you were saying about, including the big picture into the study. It's very important. I also wanted to mention that we in our town are doing a review of our comprehensive plan as well as our zoning code. And yesterday I attended the village of, and the Cooksaki is doing a village and town review of their comprehensive plan. In our case, we recruited, we gave a certain amount of weeks for people to volunteer. We've gotten about 14 people to volunteer to be on the board. It did take a year to 2 years when our comprehensive plan was reviewed in 2016. The plan should really be reviewed every 5 to 7 years because, naturally things change quite a bit. But we are doing the comprehensive plan first, and we will move to the zoning code because the zoning code has to, be in alignment with the plan. And so we know our zoning code, as you were saying, is outdated. We don't have code for short-term rentals. We don't have code for solar. We don't have code for marijuana plant, farms and things of that nature. So, and both of our zoning code and our comprehensive plan were 10 years old. So we are doing that. We're not at the scale of Cooksaki. They did have a consultant there. She gave me her card. I'll be glad to share that information. They really did like storyboards. They've already been working. They've had town meetings, open public meetings since I think December. And so that they are in good progress. They have an excellent website created by the consulting firm that if you go on there, and I can also send that information for the website. But I think it's an important thing, and our town is kind of very similar to some of the comments about the need for a lot of updating and a lot of fixing of a lot of things. So I just wanted to mention to you and be glad to talk to you all more about that as well. But
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Deb. And I just want to say it was a pleasure to come down on Monday to your town board meeting, to not only meet the full board, but the residents and explain to them our position as neighbors, that as a community, we need to pay attention to our resources like the Hudson River. And I just want to say, George, I met, I love to put names to faces, and I met Alan Van Warmer, and he said if the town of Queens needs anything from the highway department to reach out. And I said, thank you, but he already knew you, he went to school with you, he said. So it's good to, put everybody together. So we're working very closely with New Baltimore. And I had said at the meeting that I was horrified that suddenly you guys were getting the brunt of what Ravena's been getting.
yeah, that made a difference, and fixing it in one spot is only going to put a burden on the other spot. So it has to be a comprehensive identification of how to fix this and how to address it. And there's just too many people who've been suffering for a really long time, serious things. I mean, I won't go into it, but our town has had some serious problems with the trucks. And they'll just say, DOT's language for what they look for to making large trucking problems more manageable. One of them is to care about the historic and church areas and stuff like that. And our particular area where the trucks have been the most burdened is a historic, and there is a church, and there is a daycare, and there is a post office. So there's a lot of people going there, and there have been some serious issues. And it's also not safe for the truckers themselves because of the nature of our road. They jackknife all the time. I've got tons of pictures I could show you at some point, but it's not safe for them. So DOT has to think about the truckers and the importance of their work, but also their safety, as well as the serious impacts that are happening to the townspeople in all our towns.
Yeah, and just to update everybody, Elizabeth Alvarez got that email that she's pulling together.
Yes.
She's from Hinchy's office, but I think Supervisor from Bethlehem mentioned Fahey also going to have a representative there. So we're putting that meeting together just this afternoon.
Yeah,
And when that gets scheduled, I'll
not only is it multiple towns, a village, a hamlet, but it's also 2 counties now that are talking about it. So, DOT has to come to recognize the importance of this. Thank you.
Good evening. Roy with Carver's here. I don't have the information with me on this matter tonight, nor was I planning on bringing this up, but to sit here for 2 hours and listen to the supervisor make up all of these accusations against Trish Grogan and how she's not responding and how these things the board's not functioning and everyone's ignoring emails as a story, just want to lay out the other side from my perspective of communicating with the town board and the supervisor's office. As you mentioned earlier, your secretary reached out to me last Monday, left a message. I called him back within an hour, left a message with my cell phone. I believe everyone on the town board has my cell phone. If you guys have questions about anything we're doing, please reach out directly and we will certainly talk about it. We want to be a good member of the community. We want to help with truck traffic. We all know the solution is to try and get as many trucks going north on 144, to lower the speed limit, to widen the shoulders, and to get them on the thruway as soon as possible. We can't do that without DOT, neither can you, the county, Greene County, or anyone else. So as we mentioned when we met with Fahey's office, this is going to take a united front, and I think we're making progress towards it. The Alliance is doing a good job, and they are certainly, leading the charge to try and get all these parties together and get government involved with getting DOT on board. But another matter I wanted to bring up is that on March 12th, I sent an email to all the town board members, copied the clerk and a number of other people about the Fast New York grant, asking to present about it. And only Ms. Grogan responded, asking you to put it on the agenda. Crickets, nobody responded, didn't hear anything from anyone else. And certainly, I know a lot of things are going on, and I didn't plan on bringing it up tonight because everyone is busy. But to say these emails went out a couple days ago and weren't responded to, I've sent a number of emails to your group, and generally they go unresponded to, similar to what he just said. I mean, certainly calls can take time, but when we're reaching out on important things like you guys are working on a sewer plant that needs repairs and needs action, but we have a grant that's been awarded for over 2 years that I want to update you all on. We're making progress on trying to get some things in place, and, you know, it just seems for a $17 million grant to be ignored is kind of disrespectful to Carver companies, because we're trying to be a good steward to the community and help bring more power to Queens, and it doesn't seem like anybody even cares.
Mr. Larry, I saw your email and I saw Ms. Grogan answered, and she said there's no UX, if there's gonna be a joint meeting, can we come? And she said, no, there's no joint meeting scheduled, but if there is, we'll let you know.
And she also said she would like an update and asked for the supervisor to put me on the agenda, and he did not respond, nor have I been contacted by anyone.
And you know, so I didn't respond because I assumed what Ms. Grogan said was sufficient.
No, absolutely. And certainly I'm not trying to bring it up that it was your responsibility. She directly asked the supervisor in an email with 8 people in copy to take an action, and, you know, I guess I'm here asking for you to take an action.
It's in consideration.
What does that even mean?
Means we're considering it.
What are you considering? I need to update you on all the work we've done in the last 6 months since we last discussed it. But if you want to consider thinking about letting me update you, certainly appreciate it. Thank you.
Further public comment?
One quick point, as Mr. Laraway just mentioned, I just wanted to make sure that you understand, what he's talking about is getting all the traffic to go north. That does nothing for the traffic on my road. It does absolutely nothing. Like we're talking about from the port of Queens, the traffic going north, we're talking about widening the road. We're talking about putting in left turn signals or lanes. But that has nothing to do with Mountain Road extension. It can't, it doesn't.
Mr. Donnelly, you really need to enforce our meeting rules. It says that any person speaking to the board, it will go through the presiding officer and should limit their remarks to 5 minutes. And I don't mean to be rude. It's 8:20. We have to go into executive session. You've been up here 3 times. So you are the presiding officer. This needs to be adhered to.
I'm just making a point. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. Further public comment?
She didn't use all my time. Our previous supervisor at one time had said, and I know this happened in the beginning, they used to take the rock from the quarry on the conveyor belt. Why can't they do that now? Instead of the trucks?
I think it's a different type of
I
material.
think it's a large aggregate.
I can answer that
I
question.
could tell you.
Okay. You could answer?
Yeah, when Lafarge, Wholesome, Amron, whatever they call themselves today, when they modernized their plant, the conveyor that brought the aggregate into the plant was upgraded. The conveyor that they called the T-bird, because it was like a big T in the sky, DEC regulated that they had to remove that. It was the DEC and the EPA said that they weren't allowed to do that as part of their modernization. So that's what created the truck traffic in and out of the quarry.
Thank you.
And not to mention, they're today, or the last 2 days, they're hauling rock into the quarry. So I need to figure out what that's about. So they are physically hauling rock into the quarry. Like big trucks loaded with rock going into the quarry now.
Thank you. Further public comment? Seeing none, I make a motion that we're going into executive session to discuss contract issues. And no decisions will be being made. And we won't be coming back out.
Correct.
All in favor?
Aye.